Hello, welcome back. Just hours before his life was cut short, Malcolm-Jamal Warner made a final call to a man who had long stood in the role of father, friend, and mentor, Bill Cosby. That phone conversation, though private, left behind an emotional scar so deep that Cosby himself was reportedly brought to his knees when the news of Malcolm's death arrived. According to Andrew Wyatt, Cosby's longtime spokesperson, the weight of that call mirrored the day Cosby lost his biological son. Malcolm had just finished a concert in Minnesota. The energy was powerful, the moment meaningful, and his voice held the depth of someone speaking not just for the present but, in hindsight, maybe for the last time. The call was reflective, spiritual, and filled with the kind of weight that only makes sense once you realize it was goodbye. What Cosby and Malcolm discussed may never be fully known, but it left Cosby shattered, unable to bear the loss of someone he called a son in spirit. Malcolm and Cosby's bond went deeper than most people ever understood. It began in the mid-1980s when Warner was cast as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show. At just 14 years old, Malcolm didn't just find a role, he found a protector. Cosby took it upon himself to mentor the young actor, guiding him not only through the world of performance but also the heavier challenges of manhood, fame, and being a black man in the public eye. Behind the cameras, Cosby became a figure of strength and guidance. The set became more than just a workplace, it was a classroom, a place of lessons about life, respect, and purpose. And even when the show ended, their relationship didn't. They kept in close contact over the decades, supporting each other through personal challenges and triumphs. Cosby called him family, but that kind of closeness comes with burdens, and Malcolm carried his silently for years. There are things Malcolm saw, things he knew. As someone deeply embedded in Cosby's world, he wasn't just an observer. He had a front row seat to complexities the public would never see. In the final weeks of his life, he seemed especially thoughtful. He wasn't just performing music or doing poetry, he was, as those closest to him say, speaking truth through art. That final concert in Minnesota wasn't just a show, it felt like a mission. After the performance, he made that fateful call to Cosby. They talked about the show, about life, and Malcolm spoke passionately about how his work was changing people. He wasn't chasing applause, he was trying to heal something, maybe even within himself. Cosby, now in his late 80s and more reclusive, took the call with warmth. But something about it stayed with him. It felt like a closing door, a farewell masked as a simple check-in. Hours later, Cosby collapsed when he learned Malcolm had passed away. The grief was overwhelming. Wyatt compared it to the tragic call Cosby had received in 1997 when his own son Ennis was murdered. Losing Malcolm reopened that wound. The pain was raw, immediate, and consuming. That same day, Cosby had also spoken with Phylicia Rashad, who played his wife on the show and Malcolm's on-screen mother. The timing of that exchange now feels symbolic, an on-screen family unconsciously saying their goodbyes. Phylicia Rashad, usually composed, was reportedly devastated when she learned the news. Their private conversations were filled with disbelief and heartbreak. But it's what Malcolm said during that last call that has triggered waves of speculation. He reportedly hinted that he had truths he wanted to share about his past, the industry, maybe even Cosby himself. People close to him now wonder, was he preparing to speak out? Was he burdened by secrets? And was he silenced before he could find release? In the months before his death, Malcolm had become more introspective. He was writing, recording, and possibly even planning a memoir. There were voice notes, reflections on his childhood in the industry, and what he witnessed behind closed doors. Some of those recordings mysteriously disappeared weeks before his death. He had started saying things like, "There are things I know that I can't say. Not yet." At the time, those around him thought he was just being poetic. Now those words carry an eerie chill. Insiders say he was exploring the idea of releasing a documentary, a tell-all, something that would confront the myths surrounding not just Cosby, but the entire industry that raised him. Some believe Malcolm had become unsettled by the continued silence around those early years. Others say he wanted to speak not to tear people down, but to free himself. In one of his last known interviews, he said, "If I don't speak now, When will I ever be free? Then suddenly, he was gone. After the news broke, the entertainment world went into mourning, but none more than the original Cosby Show cast. Tempest Bledsoe, who played Vanessa, posted a cryptic message. We knew, we felt. That vague tribute sent fans into a frenzy, wondering what exactly the cast had known or sensed. Keshia Knight Pulliam, who played Rudy, remained silent at first, then posted a brief message. My heart is shattered. That's all I can say. Lisa Bonet, who was once very close to Warner, said nothing publicly. The silence only added to the tension. But one cast member, Sabrina LaBeouf, who played Sandra, gave a statement that seemed to hint at something bigger. If you knew Malcolm, she said, you knew he was holding on to something bigger than any of us. Malcolm wasn't just acting in his final days, he was creating. He had finished a short film called Echoes in the Frame, described as emotionally raw and deeply personal. It's never been released. One crew member said the film was about secrets, silence, and the emotional cost of hiding the truth. Some believe the project was a veiled autobiography. Others think it was his way of leaving behind a legacy that went beyond fame. According to sources, Malcolm was also meeting with journalists and independent filmmakers, perhaps in preparation for a major revelation. One producer remembers him saying, I've seen what happens to people who speak out. I just want to make sure I'm here to see the change I'm trying to make. That sentence now sounds haunting. Bill Cosby, meanwhile, reportedly said something that left people shaken. In his mourning, he told Wyatt he was carrying a weight none of us could fully see. What that weight was, only Malcolm knew. And now he's gone, leaving behind questions that may never be answered.